Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Salty Talk. So, I am excited to come before you today. I have my sister from another mister, Miss Becky King, all the way from the land of Kentucky, Louisville,
Kentucky.
to be
Lowell.
exact.
Hi,
And
y'all.
I get to come to you from the great state of Ohio, Akron to be more specific. And we're going to talk about an amazing topic today. We're going to talk about teams and team building and what it takes as a community minister to build teams, to maintain teams, to manage teams, to recruit teams, to nurture
Hmm.
teams, all things
Mm,
teams. So
all
I'm
thing
so
teams,
glad that you
baby.
tuned in. It's going to be an amazing episode. Becky, how's it
Yes.
going?
It's going well. It's going well. I'm so happy to be here with you for sure. I love to just spend time with you and missing our other teammate E. She could not be on this recording, but E, we love you. So like my first question for you is when you think of team,
Mhm.
what is the first couple of things that come to mind when you talk about like teams in general?
Well, at the risk of being a little corny, a little
Come
cliche,
on. Come on. Give it to
the
me.
first thing I think, because I gotta be honest, right? The first thing I think about when I think about the word team is an acronym, right?
Mm,
And it's not my acronym. I didn't coin it, although
okay.
I should have. I could have been, making a lot of money from it. But
Sure.
together, everybody achieves more. I am a firm believer in that we need
Hmm.
teams. Um, and that's the way the world goes round, right? Even if you think about human existence, we were
Hmm.
created, according to scripture, humans were
Mm,
created in a team, amongst a team. The Bible
mm,
says, God said, let us make, right? Let us do this project
mm.
together in community and unity as a team, make mankind. And so
Look at
I
you starting off
believe
in Genesis. Go
in
on
in,
now.
in the beginning, you got to
In the
start in the
beginning.
beginning. Yeah. So yeah, when I think team, I think things can happen, things can be achieved because it's a
Mhm.
God idea. How about you?
I love that. I tend to think through like, okay, is this like what kind of team are we talking about? Are we talking about like a staff team? Or are we talking about a volunteer team? And I think that regardless, when you're either interviewing for a team like on staff or if you're kind of putting together a volunteer team, I think a lot of these principles that we're going to touch on today could really apply to both. And like how you build a team because I mean, if you're going with a biblical model, I mean, you want a well-rounded team. You want different gifts and different strengths and different personalities to kind of really round out your team because I can't be good at everything. And what I'm good at, you might not be, and vice versa. Like what your gifting is, like the Lord kind of puts giftings and treasures, if you will, in us for a specific reason. So you want to make sure that you're kind of building your team with that in mind, talking about how the Lord has wired me as an encourager and just that extrovert sense of personality. And then you want the exact opposite of that on your team as well. So that's just kind of the nuts and bolts of the foundation of building a team. That's kind of where my mind goes.
Yeah, I hear that. And it's so interesting because when you talk about building a team, it's not just about putting your friends together or people that you
Hmm.
like or oh, they have the same taste and fashion that I do. Let's put everybody together in the team. You really have to be intentional about that. And I think that that intentionality comes with more intentionality. Like you have to get to know who people are and what
Hmm.
their personalities are and what their strengths are and what their weaknesses may be and the things that they like. And then once you get to know those folks, maybe individually, then you have to say, okay, how do these people fit in the context of this team for this purpose? So as we talk
Hmm.
about team building, it is not an easy fly by night thing. And if the truth be told, you don't just build a team, but when you build a team, you are constantly building that team. So
Hmm.
that team, once it's built, it may need nurturing, it may need training, it may need, pruning or guiding or leading or all the things.
Mm,
It's a never ending thing because we're so as a community minister and in this space of serving the community, there's always different things that come up. And
hmm
you always need people to hit your goals, to make the needle move, whatever the case may be.
hmm
And because of that, people aren't stagnant. People aren't just buttons that you push and this button does this every single time.
Truth.
Sometimes that human is going to have a great day. Sometimes they're not going to have a great day. And so
hmm
how do you manage your team that you're building, ing, through the different ups and downs that they may have or different seasons of life, and you're still trying to achieve the same goal with that particular team? And it may look a lot of different ways, a lot of different days. So I think we really want to support other community ministers in the gauntlet that it can be in team building
hmm
and team flourishing and nurturing and all the things. And so it's really interesting that I like to tell people like there's no days off in this work that we're privileged to
hmm
do. And team building is one of those things because you have to have the capacity to kind of see beyond
hmm
what you see right in front of you, whether it be a
hmm
person or a situation that they may be dealing with. Um, you have to see the potential in them. You have to see the potential in how those relationships can come together. And then you have to see the possibilities of what the team can actually accomplish, even though it may not be right in front of you. So
hmm
it's
I
really, really
could
crazy
not
sometimes.
agree more. I know there's so much science that goes into building a team. It's not like,
Yeah.
like you said, it's not getting your besties together because you're all like-minded and like, let's go
Mhm.
do this thing. Cause then you turn around and you think like, I don't, well, I can't do that. Can you do that? And
Yeah.
it's like, well,
Yeah.
no, we don't really have anybody like that on our team.
I totally agree. So why don't you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about
Mhm.
the science behind team building and maybe how personalities coincide with
Yep.
each other,
hmm
and maybe just take a little victory lap on some of the credentials that you have. My great sister.
That's a shameless plug for me. You're very sweet. Yeah, I think that like it's all about self-awareness. And I
Mhm,
really feel like the more if you are the one that's building a team, and you can sort of look out for this if someone else is building a team and having you on it.
mhm,
But it's really about self-awareness and knowing your own self,
mhm,
and knowing how you show up when you're stressed or when you're excited. Do you tend to get clippy or nervous or kind of go inside and shut down when you get stressed? Know that
mhm,
about yourself so that you can sort of be looking out for that and to have someone who you trust to say like, hey, where did you go? Like you went
mhm,
somewhere. And
mhm,
like, are you stressed?
mhm,
So I think that if you know yourself and you know how you show up in whether you're growing or whether you're stressed, that's really a key for building a team and being on a team just for yourself.
mhm.
But then just knowing other people as well. The whole I'm assuming you're talking about the Enneagram.
Yeah.
And just we're big on the Enneagram here at our church, and we talk about like, okay, what are you? What's your number?
Mhm,
And it's like, oh, I'm a seven, and it's like, okay, well, I'm a one. Well, if you put a seven and a one together, like if the
mhm.
seven is stressed and the one is just functioning, like that's tension. So you
Yeah.
have to kind of get curious about like, why does that person maybe rub me the wrong way? The different personalities can really coincide and work really well together, but some just don't. And have you ever been on a team with someone who's like, why are they a sandpaper person for me? Like, I just don't know what that
Mhm,
means. Well, it's probably the way that you're showing up, the way they're showing up, because you're trying to do something and it's just like a conflicting thing. So I just encourage you as you're building these teams, listener, just to think through and not to, and I would encourage you to put those sandpaper people on your team and just get
Yes.
curious about
Yes.
why they rub the wrong way with you. We say in just in coaching and all of that, if you spot it, you got it. So
Mhm,
there's a mirror that's being held for you in that way of like, ooh, maybe I do that too. But a great example of that is when I was on a team, and we were doing something out in the community. And it was a festival.
uh-huh.
And, I am a real easy breezy, just kind of like, it's going to be great. This is going to be great. Whatever it is, it's going to
Of
be
course.
awesome. Well, and I was on a team with a very just like rule followy, rigored, like we have to do it this way. And we sort of bumped each other a little bit throughout the whole process of
Mhm.
my lack of just structure and her overzealous of structure was just
Mhm.
kind of this whole like, golly, it was a tug and pull,
Mhm.
especially at the very end when everybody was really tired. And I was like, what? It's like 20 minutes. Like, let's just pack up and go. Like, the festival's over, people are leaving. And she's like, no, we have to stay. Like, oh, that kind of thing. And I'm like, why? Like, so it's just, yeah, that team dynamic and personalities can really come in handy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the word that you use of being curious, right? I think that society as a whole can benefit from adopting this heart posture of being curious about other
Hmm.
people and asking questions and actually listening to the answers that may come from those questions. It's not necessarily like about trying to fix people per se, but if I
Absolutely.
understand where they're coming from, if I understand their bent or what makes them tick, then at least I have the language to contextualize what I may be experiencing. I don't have to take it personal. And so it's kind of like when I'm working with Becky, I know that Becky's going to bring energy, Becky's going to bring optimism, Becky's going to bring all these things. And it's not because she's minimizing the more serious things. This is just who she is. Okay, great,
Hmm.
got it. Now I need a person on the team that is going to be more meticulous, that's going to be able to read between the lines and catch all the details
Hmm.
and be the proofreader or whatever the case may be so that we
Hmm.
don't miss anything.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that that person is locked in that way. Great, got it. And when we start to understand the why behind why people are the way that they are, how their personalities are bent, I love the Enneagram tool. I think as a practical thing, there should be some sort of personality assessment tool that you use, at least loosely, in building a team.
Hmm.
I think the more information that you have, the more quality and the more sound decisions that you can make. And so, as a team leader, as a leader in general, get as much information as you possibly can. And then you have some tools, you have some actual avenues on how to put people together in the most effective way so that they can succeed. And if one person succeeds, then the whole team succeeds. So it's a really beautiful thing what curiosity can bring instead of
Hmm.
taking the easy way out and just being like, well, this person just rubs me the wrong way and I don't want to
Yeah.
volunteer or serve with them anymore. I'm never picking them to be on the
Hmm.
team. But like you said before, hold that mirror up. You
Hmm.
have to be able to stretch, especially as a leader. And here's a really interesting thing that I just thought of as a leader, especially in the church space, in the ministry space, and the elevating the community space. If we're Jesus followers, Jesus had to be available and interact with all different kinds of people. Like you think of his
Hmm.
team, his disciple team, right? You had
Hmm.
a zealot, which was like a modern day,
Oh, yeah. Come
terrorist,
on.
if you want to say. You
Hmm.
had fishermen, which, traditionally they didn't make it in rabbinical schools, so they got kicked out. So they had to
Hmm.
jump into the family business. You had a tax collector, which was he was definitely despised by his fellow.
Talk
You
about
had
a
all
sandpaper person.
Oh
Whoop.
my gosh. So you had all these different people that Jesus picked intentionally. He
Hmm.
intentionally didn't pick, the cookie cutter
Hmm.
picks that probably we would have picked. And so I think there's value to that. I think that it stretches you as a leader. It brings more out of you as a leader. And like I said before, together everybody achieves more. So not only
Hmm.
does your team achieve or grow or be stretched, but so do you as a leader. I
Hmm.
think that's
Yes.
super important.
Agreed. Agreed. And thank you for giving that model of Jesus. It's never a bad idea to go back biblically to the model of how the way Jesus led. And I think, as you were saying that, speaking of leading a team, like,
Mhm.
listener, don't be afraid to step into your leadership and be at the helm and be the decision maker and be the person who is the tiebreaker or the clear leader. It was making me think of a team that I am still on, but it was a room full of high profile leaders, just executive level leaders.
Yeah.
And before I came on the team, they met for like 6 months and they had a lot of great concepts, but nothing was actually executed. And I'm
Mm.
like, okay. And I came on and I'm like, okay, great. Like, let's go. Let's get ready to do this. Like, what's been done? And they're like, I'm like, okay, so nothing, pretty much. Um, and you've got all these like wildly capable people who
Right.
have, these executive level positions at a
Mhm.
really high profile church, but like they've been meeting for 6 months and nothing has been actually done.
Right.
So that's an example of like, it's the right people in different rooms, but like when you put all those people together on a team to execute this huge event, nothing got done.
Mhm.
So they just didn't have the right people in the room and one person to be at the helm. Cause like this person was doing this and this person was doing this and this person was doing this, but like they didn't come together and say, okay, they were all going in different directions.
Right.
So listener, just don't be afraid to step into that leadership role because it can be intimidating. To
Right.
say like, okay, everybody, this is where we're going. This is the goal. This is the mark. This is the bullseye that we're headed for. Jesus did that really well.
Mhm.
Even though they kind of tried to go off and like, I mean, even Peter was like, I'll build you a tent, like all the things. Jesus, like, we're not doing that.
Right.
So it's refreshing to keep looking back on the model that is Jesus and his leadership role there. It's so good.
And I think that there's, going back to Jesus, because like, how could we ever get away from him, right? He's amazing.
Mm. I
Um,
know.
but there's this principle of I would communicate this a lot during my days in youth ministry. But the teams that you see that are successful, like take sports teams that win championships, or Fortune 500 companies that have consistently progressed and consistently achieved success. Those teams, one of the common markers of them is that they spend time together outside of their
Yep.
vocation, right? So if it's a basketball team, we spend time off the court together. If it's a football team, we spend time off the field together. If
Hmm.
it's a corporate team, Fortune 500 company, we spend time outside of the boardroom, outside of the office together. And what begins to happen is you start to know your teammates more intricately. And this is what Jesus did. Scripture only captures a percentage of the time that he spent with his disciples. Think of the conversations that they were having. Think of the frustrations
Mm.
that and all the crowds that were following them. And, maybe Jesus gave Peter a look and that meant, get 50 people over here because we
Yeah.
need more fish and more loaves over on that side. Or,
Right.
they started to learn each other. And we're still talking about that team to this day,
Yes.
over
Hmm.
2,000 years later. And so
Mm.
there's a lot of value to spending time with your team, intentional time. These are the things that are intangible, I believe. And so in addition to the technical things like,
Hmm.
personality studies, one-on-one conversations and things like that, the time spent together, having fun, being competitive with one another,
Hmm.
learning each other's history and each other's story and each other's backgrounds and learning what's important to one another and different family dynamics and things like that. Those are the type of things that really make a team strong and that
Hmm.
ultimately impact our communities, right?
Hmm.
So it's more than just checking a box, listener or viewer, and we're not telling you anything that you don't already know. It's just kind of a reminder and maybe stoking the fire a little bit.
Hmm.
It's not about checking a box. It's about forming a team, building a team, nurturing a team so that ultimately we get people closer to the love of Jesus Christ. And
Hmm.
maybe your role in that is making sure the emails go out. Maybe your role in
Hmm.
that is making sure the cones are set up and parking is the way it's supposed to be. Whatever your role in, whatever your role is, sorry, in that team,
Yeah.
understand that you are helping people get closer ultimately to the love of Jesus Christ. And
Agreed.
that's a beautiful thing.
Agreed. Agreed. And I feel like, a team, I mean, teams can look totally different. I mean, going back to the story of the five guys who did a
Five
whole
Guys
bunch of
Burgers and
nothing.
Fries?
Five guys. Not those five guys. Five different guys.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like the five guys who, got a whole lot of vision casted in 6 months.
Mhm.
But like, the suggestion now is okay, clearly this team is the vision team. So
Hmm.
you need a secondary committee, and maybe you even need a third, like a tertiary committee. So like
Hmm.
what does that look like? Who needs to be on those teams? So you can sort of like flesh out like, okay, there's five buckets of
Hmm.
things to do. So you can have a team that gets to decide like, okay, what bucket do you want to own? And then you go and you form a team based
Hmm.
on your bucket.
Right.
And then we all come back and then we all come up to the vision team and we report what's happening.
Hmm.
But teams can look, it can be a one-off, a recruitment for a food pack. Like that's a team of like
Hmm.
who's gonna put the balloons up on the station and who's gonna, put the QR code down to check in and like all the things.
Hmm.
You can have teams that are kind of waiting in the wings. At Southeast, we have what we call a WIT team. So it's whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So there's in the community, there's like wheelchair ramps that need to be built. There's mulch at a widower's house that needs to be put down. There's just like little honeydews that need to happen around the house. Like there's, she can't get her car out of the driveway because it snowed. And we
Hmm.
need somebody to come over and shovel her driveway because we have snow in Kentucky. Uh,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
we have this team that's kind of waiting in the wings. They don't volunteer regularly, but we can call upon them because they have either specific skills that they have or just the will and the margin to
Hmm.
do things that other people don't do because they're either not retired or whatever. And it's just, and
Right.
we call upon that team and we say, hey, this is a whatever it takes moment. And kind of build that team and say, hey, are you willing to be on this team to
Hmm.
sort of help whenever it's needed? And a lot of people will say yes and amen to those kinds of things.
Absolutely. And another important part of this team building thing is build your team or execute your goals around the strengths of your team.
Hmm.
Right. So for instance, for those of you that have met me in person, I usually tell people that I'm anywhere between 6'3" and 6'4". The actual
True.
truth is I'm not quite that tall. The point though is it would not be very effective or lucrative to place me as a center of an NBA team. Probably not going to work out very well. So you would need to place me in a position where I can thrive with my skills, with my abilities, and things of that nature. And I think the same holds true for any type of a team. If you have a team that and the culture is such that they're more outgoing and they like to interact with people,
Hmm.
okay, then let's cater to that. Let's fan that flame and see how they can be better
Hmm.
at that. And then maybe on the back end, then maybe you build in some of the more, technical things that make sure that things are getting done.
Hmm.
But I think it's very important as a leader that as we're building teams, that we have an honest assessment of where our teams are and what our team's capabilities are. And then that might necessitate, like you were saying earlier, Becky, building a sub team or,
Hmm.
a sub team,
Yep.
something that would uh, actually move the needle. And so
Hmm.
clearly, that team that had been meeting for 6 months, their strengths weren't in the doing. It was in the vision
Hmm.
passing and the headline and the big bright lights. And
Yeah.
that's fine, that has its place. But we got to be honest about just because, this team wants to be seen in a certain way,
Yeah.
the results say, oh, we probably need some help. And we got to be honest about that. I think part of team building and successful team building and teams that have longevity is you have to have honest assessments. You
Agreed.
just have to. And you have to be able to get feedback from those that are outside of your team, maybe from those
Hmm.
that you're serving, from those that you're reporting to, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's really hard to grow if you don't have honest and true assessments of what's actually happening. Just like
Yeah.
me, I'm not 6'3", and I'm never gonna be 6'3", even though
You're
I
so
want to be.
close. You're
I'm,
so
I'm right
close.
there, right there. I mean, 5'8". What's a few inches? It's
I
nothing.
mean, it's fine. Something you said, just as like a successful team and like that assessment, in the years that have gone by, Southeast is the tendency is when you're trying to like crank out ministry, because ministry is a crank out. Like
Hmm.
We, as Erica says, we are a walking hat rack. I mean, we
Hmm.
just have to do so many things so often. And it is like we're going to execute this and then we're on to the next thing because the next thing is tomorrow.
Hmm.
I think that over the years we've learned to pause after an event and do two things. Number one is to assess and
Hmm.
really ask your team what went well, what didn't go well, what do you
Hmm.
wish that we could have done,
Hmm.
and what are you hopeful for that this event actually accomplished.
Yeah.
And so like that assessment afterwards is really hard because it's just, okay, great, we did that. On to the next thing.
Yeah.
That's tend to be how ministry is around here. I don't know how it is
Uh-huh.
at your church.
Yeah.
And
Same.
then the second thing is to celebrate your team and
Mhm.
to, kind of repeat or celebrate the behavior that you want repeated and ignore the stuff that you don't.
Mhm.
Coming into someone else's environment that there's a team that's already existed that you're maybe taking over or that you've inherited.
Mhm.
And instead of getting the like, well, we've always done it this way, and so we're going to
Yeah.
do it this way. And
Mhm.
that gives you no room for creativity or even the Holy Spirit to work. But
Right.
just to celebrate with that team and to say, like, let's just look back and look
Mhm.
at all the things that you guys have accomplished and like let's just appreciate this journey that the Lord has had us on and let's just celebrate you. So like thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
for what you do. Thank you for showing up. Showing up is half the battle of
Yeah,
getting people to
absolutely.
show up on a team. So like and that creates encouragement, that creates safety, it creates ownership, it creates value,
Yeah.
and it will spur that compassion on in a
Mhm.
way that just if you don't do that and if you miss it, that's a huge piece of building a team.
Absolutely. I was looking at this statistic, and I'm
Mm,
probably gonna botch it a little bit, but the
yeah.
point that was trying to be made was that people stick on teams and or stick with a job or whatever the case may be when they feel honored and valued. Like that,
Hmm.
the honor and value piece weighed more than the monetary or the promotion or whatever the case may be. People intrinsically want to feel valued and want to feel honored. And so there's sometimes in the church space, we can fall into this attitude of like, well, they're just volunteers. We can only get so much out of them. They're not
Hmm.
being paid. So then your expectation goes to a different level. And
Yep.
I don't think that always has to be the case. If, like what you were saying before, thanking them, showing gratitude, and honoring and valuing those people that may be paid or may not be paid,
Hmm.
um, they can still produce like a paid person and a non-paid person can produce similar results if they're honored and valued at a certain level.
Hmm.
So I'd just like to get your thoughts on that.
I agree. Like the team that I'm on, recently, to your point, now we're all paid staff, but
Mhm.
my boss kind of gathered us all together and he basically said, here's a sticky note. You get 10, 12 sticky notes, and I'm going to give you 1 minute to write down everything in our organization that is difficult for you, it makes it difficult for you to do your job.
Mm.
And we just got to write and write and write and write and write. And
Mhm.
then we had to get up and say, like, this is what makes it difficult. And I mean, it was things like compliance, uh, too much ownership, not enough ownership, staying in your
Mhm.
own lane, like just
Yeah,
organizational stuff that like happens
right,
at every church and every company.
right.
But that his point was, A, I want to hear you, and because I want to see you, and it was so validating, and we all walked away thinking like, he cares, he
Mhm.
cares, and that was worth more than a paycheck to
Mhm.
be to be felt as honored, to be seen, because and he wrote them all down and he took them all with him, and he's like, okay, we're going to go to war against these things because
Mhm.
we need to remove obstacles so that ministry can happen. Like that's
Yeah,
what we do.
yeah.
And it was such a great way to display like, hey, I see you and I honor you.
That's such a beautiful thing. And it makes me think about, you know, and it sounds like that came from an authentic place. And now he knows what he's doing is creating this safe space for people to express some of their frustrations. A lot of times people are reluctant to express frustrations. And so not only are you allowed to express it, now he is taking on the challenges of knocking down those hurdles, like I like to say.
Hmm.
And that just builds a cohesion because everybody has a need to feel seen, heard, and loved.
Yep,
Every single
absolutely.
person. And so as you're a part of a team, as you're nurturing a team, as you're building a team, make sure you have that support team. Like everybody needs a support team. And
Absolutely.
maybe those two things can be interchangeable for you, but everybody has a need, not just a desire or a want,
Yeah,
but everybody has a need to feel seen, heard, and loved. And
agreed.
absolutely, Jesus is he's the main fulfiller of that need. And we also need other people around us to help supplement that need as well. So,
Hmm.
wow, what an amazing, amazing time. I'm
Yes,
gonna alley-oop it
me
to
too.
you, Becky King, as you
Yes.
land the plane for us.
Listener, I hope that this has been such a great episode for you. We just love to come to you and listen to the things that happen at the summits here in the Community Minister Network. And we hope that this has blessed you today, and just may the Lord bless you and keep you in all that you do as you build teams and as you grow as a leader and step into just your spiritual gifts. And yes, just to double down on what Jerome said, like, man, get that support team is always a good idea. For people to speak into you with support and spiritual love. So yes, those are very, very important. So yeah, we will sign off. We love you. We hope you have a great day, and don't forget, stay salty, y'all.
Stay salty, y'all.